Steering wheel, somebody tell him to give it to me.
There's something loose between my legs.
I don't know. Let go!
I'm heavier than a freaking boat.
Nothing he's could say could make that any better.
No more radio for the rest of the race.
I'm going home.
Hello and welcome to DRS FC, a F1 podcast presented by Soccer Nerds. I am Kyle Carr. I will take on hosting duties. I'm a soccer nerd, but I also hate the sport of soccer. It's not fun. Everything sucks about it. I don't want to talk about it any further, but I will let two other soccer nerds.
Four in a row.
You know, I don't know which team has embarrassed me the most between one losing 4 games in a row, one just not being competitive in the Liverpool women, and another team losing 4-0 when you need the win to make the playoffs in Ford Madison. So I don't like soccer. That's all.
Oh, damn, the number 4 hurts you bad. Damn.
Yeah, soccer sucks right now. So I am joined by one soccer nerd, Deepti. How's it going?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic, especially because another 4, Arsenal won 4-0 today. So, I'm great.
Set piece FC.
Complimentary.
Again, I hate soccer. So, and for everyone noticing, Ebony is on here. Ebony and I are on an episode together. So it took almost the whole damn season for it to happen.
I feel honored
Ebony,
to be
how's
a
it
part
going?
of this.
Hi. I'm one of the reasons that he hates soccer. I'm Ebony. Nice to see everybody again. It's been a while since I've been on. Oh man.
Yeah.
And what a way to come back.
No, I'm not doing this. We're going to talk about F1. This is not a soccer podcast. It's an F1 podcast. And we were in America. We were at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas, where it was actually a pretty solid weekend of racing. You know, we had a sprint race and we had papaya rules completely cause chaos in the sprint race. We also had the feature race, which, I mean, at this point, it's kind of a Max Verstappen is going to walk him down to the championship, right?
Let's get into it. Let's start with papaya rules, and then we'll talk about how Max is going to win the championship.
All right, so we'll start with the sprint race because that's where papaya rules continue to absolutely screw over McLaren. Oscar Piastri was trying to get a jump start. He was going to make a move on Lando Norris. It did not work. Oscar had to cut back in so that he didn't hit his teammate. But while doing so, he got hit by Nico Hülkenberg going into turn 1. And despite trying not to hit Lando initially, he still ended up taking Lando out of the race. So both Lando and Piastri were knocked out in turn 1 of the sprint race, which basically meant Max could just go ahead and win with little to no challenge, ignoring all the safety cars that happened. So good start, McLaren, after Lando was quote unquote reprimanded for what happened in Singapore. What are we doing here, McLaren? Like, honest question, what are we doing?
It was funny the way they, I didn't watch a lot of the media afterwards, but both of them were like, yeah, they're reprimands. Lando was like, I didn't get away with it. Like, I have been reprimanded. And he said there were and there will be, consequences or reprimands, whatever word he used. Meaning that it's going to continue through the end of the season, maybe? Question mark. I don't know nobody knows what they meant by that. But it seems like it wasn't just like a one-time behind the scenes, slap on the wrist kind of thing, supposedly. We don't know. I can't even guess what these reprimands could be.
Probably just a fine. Like a small fine. That'd be my
Like
guess.
a papaya fine or like a FIA fine?
Oh, papaya. FIA does not give
FIA
a damn.
doesn't care.
FIA is like, hey, this is good entertainment. This is great.
But even papaya fine, it's like, why would he say there were reprimands? Sure, maybe there was a fine, but then he was like, there will be, moving on. And so, I don't know. What else could it be?
Because he's weird. He's an awkward guy. I mean, the funniest part about that whole sequence of them trying to do the whole papaya rules and Oscar trying to avoid is Zach then gets on the mic and is like, it wasn't our fault. And everyone's like, no, it was absolutely all your fault. He was like, Nico did it. Nico didn't see him. That wasn't his fault. That was all Oscar's fault for the whole thing. And I'm like, you are smelling your own shit right now. I need you to do better because you're going to throw away a championship, a papaya championship, a papaya 1-2, and a constructors because you're trying to do the right thing, but you're not even doing the right thing for both drivers. So now you're just hurting it. And like we alluded to, I truly think that Max is gonna come away at the end with another championship under his belt because he's watching incompetence happen and he's just driving right past it.
I think the thing for me is I'm not necessarily saying it was Oscar's fault. Like Oscar is more at fault than Hulkenberg, but really this is a McLaren fault. This is papaya rules at the fault because if Oscar wasn't trying to avoid Lando, he doesn't make that move. But because he doesn't want to hit Lando, because apparently he's going to get reprimanded for it. That's why he had to cut back in because there was no other option. If he goes off track, he's going to have to give it back, and that's just going to cause more problems. It's the papaya rules. If this was any other driver, I think Oscar makes a more aggressive move and possibly gets it, maybe makes contact, whatever. But because this papaya rules has caused so much controversy, he tries cutting back in to not hit his own teammate. And unfortunately, Nico Hulkenberg is right there. So the FIA, the stewards were basically like, yeah, that's a racing incident. We're not going to penalize anyone because we understood the situation. So I don't even blame Oscar. I blame McLaren for having such a stupid standard that you have to avoid hitting your teammate.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it was like any of the drivers per se were at fault. I think it was like in that instant, it was just a racing incident. But you're right. It was just like mentally, those two drivers are like, okay, I need to like, I can't hit my teammate, even if I want to just like race. Even though we've wrapped up constructors, it should really just be me versus him now. There's still like some sort of hesitation and some sort of like taboo against like racing against each other, and so they have to whatever do this like circus act to try to avoid hitting each other or even just like fighting and like making a proper racing move on them, and this is what happens. So it's weird. We've talked about Pohai rules all season, and like if like I'm trying to remember what I said even back after the first couple races. I was like, oh, surely papaya rules will have ended after the first like 4 races. But no, it's still going. And because of it, now they're going to screw up their chances, like Ebony said, of getting a 1-2 driver finish as well.
You know who's loving it? Russell.
I
We're not even
guess.
talking about Max. We forget about Russell. Russell's loving this at the moment. Because did we forget that Russell was running second for a very long time? And then, and actually for large portions of the race, he was very much like going at Max in that sprint. And Max finally like pulled away at the end, but Russell is also benefiting greatly from this because Kimmy's no longer helping him.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Russell is like the second biggest beneficiary from it, but even then it's kind of like
not by much, but he's still enjoying it. He's getting his contract because of it.
I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
he
he's
signed
doing
a new contract,
well.
so
Right.
He already got the contract. I think the biggest thing is just if he does it, maybe if he qualifies better, then sure, something happens. But it's kind of like he was also trying to avoid the whole mess that happened with Oscar, and he kind of walked away unscathed, and it was pretty much just second place. And I mean, the results make it look closer than it is because of safety cars, but realistically, Max was far enough ahead that it didn't matter. But I mean, George, I guess, will take what he can get. I mean, finishing second in the sprint race, he did okay in the main race. That Mercedes seems to not be terrible in hot weather, oddly enough. So that could be.
It is kind of slowing down. It looked a little weird, especially during the race, mainly because there were a lot of people having tire issues, but I don't know. It looked like he was ready to fight, especially because after the safety car from the sprint race and he really battled Max. I was like, okay, so maybe he's actually going to put up a fight. I could see him finishing second or third. Just because once I saw the sprint race and I was like, oh, they're not podium at all. Neither Papaya is. And then like all of a sudden he was in sixth, and I was like, but that also is Ferrari was hooping. To take a phrase from Andre, Ferrari was they were battling a little bit.
That was going to be my next. That's what I was going to transition into. Is Russell did not have the best start because Lewis and Oscar both were able to pass him, and George was trying to catch Oscar and couldn't. It looked like at times, but Ferrari finished third and fourth in the race. Like, and it wasn't like Charles Leclerc was pretty much in second the majority of the race, and was only his tires wearing out at the end that made him finish third. Otherwise, I mean, this was probably Ferrari's best weekend since, I don't know. And they also got fourth and fifth in the sprint race as well. So is Ferrari turning a corner? I'm only asking you guys because you are still on that narcotic. I have left that narcotic.
I haven't left the. I haven't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm still on it. I'm just.
I might be dabbling in it again, you know.
Right, you know, just a little.
Just might have
little,
reeled
little
us back in a little bit. Yeah, exactly.
We're not doing too much, but you know.
But this weekend gave us a little something, something. So it's like,
which is because what it was like towards the middle of the race, right, when Hamilton and Leclerc were battling, and then Hamilton finally got by and just flew away, and then obviously Ferrari strategy. All of a sudden, we have them back switched, and I thought that Leclerc was going to hold off Norris till the end because they were both Lando's car was overheating, correct? For like a very long portion of him trying to battle with Leclerc.
Yeah, one of his tires was definitely like weared out. His front left, I believe. I don't know if it was his or Oscar's front left was pretty much degrading. Like
Oscar's
quickly.
front left, and then Lando's like, I think the underbelly of the car was like overheating, and so they basically were like, okay, cool off a bit, and then once you get it cool again, and like your brakes cool down, then you can like ramp up and try to get him. And so it was like the second go was when Lando was able to like pass Leclerc. But I think it was like more like that was just good strategy and good like communication between Lando's engineer and Lando for like how to, because Lando was kind of like, oh, my tires are gone, and like he had only used them for like 7 laps, so like there was no way it was actually gone. So his engineer was like, no, like this is what you have to do, you'll be able to get him, whatever, you're fine. And he did, and that was good. But I think it was like the tire strategy between the two teams that in the end it was a good strategy for Ferrari, but it just like, I guess the McLaren, the car was better, and so it didn't like completely work out for them, but it still obviously got them a podium. So like when Charles opted to go for soft to start and like lasted a lot longer than they expected the soft tires to, in like especially with all the defending he had to do on Lando, like that was, I think, a really actually good call on Ferrari's part, and it like worked in their favor.
My question is, why are tires lasting so long? That's the scary part.
I
single week.
I was going to say, I think the cars are just built so well at this point because this is the end of the regs. So you kind of have an idea in terms of the aerodynamics. You kind of have an idea in terms of building the car. So I think the car itself is just able to handle it better since we are at the end of it. Plus Pirelli just deciding to throw whatever tire compound seems necessary. So I think it's just a combination of the cars are more equipped to kind of allow the tires to last longer, along with Pirelli choosing which tire, like depending on the compound. It just seems like maybe these compounds are just going to last longer and they're not going to degrade as quick as maybe they realized.
Yeah, that's what my question also is like. Pirelli has all this data, obviously, from like pre-season testing and then from each race as the season goes on, but still every single week it seems like, you know how they show the graphic of like pit window, which is like how long they expect the tires to last. every single week it underestimates how long they can go. And like maybe I don't know, I find it hard to believe that with all that data that they're just getting it wrong. And so I think it's like the drivers also are better at quote unquote managing them, and like even if they are degrading a lot or like if they're not really fit to drive, they're still managing to like keep them to like last them a bit longer than what I guess any other like a not like elite driver would be able to.
Yeah, it was interesting where it had the pit window for the soft, and that was basically Leclerc. It was like, yeah, lap 12 through 18 or something, and Leclerc just kept going for another
It's
10
already
laps. I
up,
was like,
like,
all
yeah.
right.
I'm like, that's the softest tire, and it's going for 28
Yeah.
to 30 laps in a 56 lap race.
Yeah.
And he was the only one in that top 10 that started on the soft. So
Yeah.
it was kind of evident, like, okay, like if Leclerc is able to do this many on the soft, you can go longer on the mediums. And then when everyone's switching on the soft,
And
and
then
by
switch to
then,
soft.
which is why Lando was able to catch Leclerc, because those softs were still doing so well while Leclerc's mediums were wearing out at the end, and
Yeah.
the McLaren car is just faster. But I mean, Lewis Hamilton was up there battling for third as well because of how Leclerc was doing, and he was able to get some speed out of it. It just wasn't until that pit stop where it just fell further behind. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I was surprised no one did a hard compound.
Yeah.
And I think this is also the effects of the sprint weekend where there was not enough data to know, like, how is the hard compound going to be? How is it going to fare? Because I feel like had teams known it, they probably would have just done hard and then maybe done softers at the end, or just stuck with the same strategy they did.
Yeah, I feel like the initial strategy of most teams would have been like medium for the first like whatever 25 laps and then hards through the end. But after seeing like how long the softs were lasting and how long the mediums were, then like even Charles did soft to medium instead of soft to hard, and then everybody else basically did medium to like soft. And like if there was a virtual safety car, I don't know how many people actually pitted under that, but I guess they initially we're probably just like, okay, if there is a safety car towards the end, then we'll switch to softs and just like get like race through the end. But given how it went, yeah, they didn't end up having to use the hard tire, which is kind of crazy. I mean, it is like one of the shorter races in terms of number of laps. It's only 56 laps, but still, like not using a hard in like the main race of the weekend is kind of wild.
I don't know if it's encouraging that you basically have to hope for a safety car to get more, like, different tire compounds that happen. Because there was the one virtual safety car, and that was it. So I don't know. I feel like this is the constant issue with Pirelli, as they keep throwing compounds out there that are lasting longer, and they were like, no, don't worry, it's going to create a lot more strategy and stuff. And it's like, it's not at this point.
It's weird because they're
And
doing both. And like I always say that we're gonna do a tire episode, and like I promise we will get to one eventually. But it's like Pirelli's saying both the compounds are like lasting longer, but then also a lot of the races this season they've gone one step softer so that they like have to wear through the tires more and like have to do two stops and whatever, and that hasn't worked for them ever. So like I guess
I can't think of any race where they
yeah,
had to do a two-stop
exactly
other than
like
Monaco, which was
Except for Monaco, where they make you. And because remember, Max at the end of that, he was like, I can keep going. But because they
yeah,
made him,
yeah.
all he did was just cause chaos and slow everybody else down until he went into the pits. And I was like, this is silly. This is silly.
Anyway, yeah.
I don't know. But you know who also had a good weekend? Whoever designed those trophies.
God. Beautiful.
I would want one of those trophies. I mean,
Beautiful.
Louis Vuitton brought it. Louis Vuitton, I don't know if it was a Louis Vuitton that did it. They sponsored the race because it was like the Louis Vuitton United States Grand Prix or something. I don't know, but that trophy, that might be one of the best trophies I've seen.
It's funny, I don't really see Louis Vuitton within Austin, Texas, but still. Anyway, I digress.
Yeah, that's fair.
No, definitely not.
But they're so nice. Like, I was so shocked. Have you seen them?
I think
Indeed.
maybe
I have.
yeah, I have. They were so cool. I was gonna say I think maybe at the end of the season we need to do an episode where we just rank all the trophies. And like, because all of
This,
them have such cool like features, but this one just initially the look, it was so cool.
this and the Lego, those are the top
Yeah.
two for me right now.
Yeah.
Honest to God, those are the best ones. This was there. Where do you even put that? Where do you put it? Because it's so Texas. It's so
Yep.
wide. It's so hilariously big for no reason. And other than that, it's Texas. And I kind of want them to make it into the Lego. Like, you know how they're doing the Lego series next year with like
Yeah.
the Lewis Hamilton helmet. I would love to have that as one of them, the Texas trophy from 2025.
Just like whoever saw the shape of the track and said, "What if we just put two of them together? Oh my gosh, it looks like a longhorn head." And like amazing. I was like, because you know how in the previews we like sometimes do like, oh, what shape does this track remind you of? So like at first glance, I think of a bat. I don't know, like with or something with wings, some sort of creature with like long wings. But whoever made this trophy was like, let me double it, mirror it, put it together, and oh my gosh, it's a Texas Longhorn.
It really is.
It's
It really is.
it's just so simple, but it's so elegant that you just have to like tip your hat to them. Just like beautiful.
I mean, granted, given how a lot of the drivers were going pretty much all Texas, like Lewis Hamilton being on a horse
Oh,
in that cowboy outfit. Pierre Gasly had the hat. Oscar was doing barbecue. I think Liam Lawson had like boots or something. Like,
the Red Bull livery,
yeah, that was
beautiful.
even
That's the only thing
Hospital
they did
too.
all weekend. So that's the only thing they did all weekend, and it was perfect. Great job.
The Baby Bulls
Hos-
one.
Yeah.
Oh, their whole garage had like matching shirts as well. That like match livery. I don't know if I liked it. I thought it was really busy. Like I don't know. I need to look at it
I will.
properly again.
Haas did well with their livery as always. They
Yeah.
got the stars and stripes. Like, it was noticeable, but wasn't too much. I don't know what the hell Alpine was doing. Sorry, Ebony, but that livery
No,
didn't make
they
sense.
kind of threw me off there. I don't know
Yeah.
what was happening there. So
Haas's
Like,
was cool, and Haas's like the driver's suits also were really really cool. I think that like matched really well.
yeah, but it was quite the time. But this is where we sit after here's the standings after this race. So Oscar Piastri is still leading. He has 346 points. Lando Norris and Max Verstappen both were able to cut the gap. So Lando is now 14 points behind with 332. Max Verstappen is now 40 points behind. He is gaining. He is pretty much 2 race wins away now from surpassing. He has 306. George Russell, I think technically is in the running for the championship. He has 252. So I think technically he still has a chance, but realistically not really. And Charles Leclerc.
never say never. Never say
Charles
never.
Leclerc, I think now he is officially out. He has 192 points. I think there was something that said like if Lando and Oscar were to consistently DNF and Max wasn't supposed to win or something, and Leclerc won out, then he would get the championship. That's not going to happen. So I think that's okay. Is there anything else from this race that you two want to talk about? Because I do have one last thing.
I feel like yeah. So we mentioned the driver standings, but the constructor standings are also really close for like that second place. I'm gonna pull up the numbers really quick, but I think that's something that like there's still a lot of points to be won in like the next 5 races because there's 2 more sprint races if I'm correct.
Yes,
Along with the
Brazil
5.
and Qatar, I believe.
And so, like we always talk about, like the rest of the grid, just because constructors is already wrapped up, doesn't mean that the rest of the table is not important because for them, that's how they get all their money. And for second
If
place,
you're looking,
it's a
you got it.
3-team.
Okay.
Yeah. Second place, it's a 3-team race right now. So Mercedes is still P2 with 341 points. Ferrari is in third place, only 7 points behind. They have 334. And then Red Bull is 331 points, so only 3 points behind Ferrari. So from basically there's 10 points between second, third, and fourth place. And so that obviously could change and might change and probably will change considering how Max is doing because he has like 90% of those 331 points. um, so that is like I think a fun race for me to watch. Same with like lower in the table as well, like 6, 7, and 8 are all pretty close. I feel like Williams has maybe actually I won't even say that they've locked in P5.
I wouldn't say they locked it in, but it's feeling
Yeah,
very
well, it's
likely.
I
feeling
mean,
likely, but
Hadjar falling off has not helped, but I
yeah,
think if he gets like 1 or 2 more good races in him, it can definitely be another race
yeah,
for fifth.
it still could change. But yeah, for me, 2, 3, 4, like for the race for P2 basically in constructors is still like really, really close.
Awesome. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and then when we get back, we are going to quickly talk about a certain team and a driver deciding rules don't matter. Take notes, Oscar Piastri, and then we will head into our accountability corner after this. Okay, we are back, and I just wanted to say the funniest thing for me was at the end of the race, Alpine told Franco Colapinto, hey, let's just hold the positions. We're not going to, we're just going to hold positions. And Colapinto basically said, fuck that, pass Gasly. And all this was for 17th place.
Yep. Yep. First of all, why are they asking drivers to hold positions in 17th and 18th place or whatever, 16th, 17th place?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, why does it matter? Let them race. Let them show. Both of them.
Doesn't matter.
Well, Pierre's already signed again for Alpine because God knows why. But like, Colapinto doesn't know if he has a spot on the grid yet next season, and so he wants to show that he can race. And they're like, no, just wait. It's okay. Have a nice Sunday drive.
I mean, in Colapinto's defense, Gasly was really slow at that point, and Colapinto had Bortoletto on his ass, and he even said, wait, what? Why would I hold positions? He's slow, which I fully agree. At this point, you got to prove something, and this is probably not going to help him in terms of having that second seat next year. Alpine basically said, yeah, we're going to have to review this. We're going to have to take some look, as Paul Aaron is going to do practice 1 for Mexico this weekend, and they've even said, yeah, maybe he'll be considered for that second seat. So it's all right, Alpine.
Oh, you know what we did forget? We did forget? The bromance between Bierman and Kimmy now being broken.
Oh yeah.
RIP to that. But that's also just more scrapping.
Was just scrapping.
Oh, there was a point in the race where Kimmy was trying to pass and he ended up hitting Ollie or pushing him off the track, I believe.
Oh yeah,
I
think he
was
not
Ollie
happy about that
a little bit, right? Was that the one where Ollie hit a kind of a dirt patch on the corner and then spun and then was able to come back? Was that him? Or was that somebody else?
That was a different Kimmy Antonelli incident. This one, they were battling for track position. They were going around, I think, turn 1. Kimmy pushed him out, and Bierman came back on the track ahead of him. So they were like, he needs to get the spot back. And Bierman was like, no, why would he do that? And it's just a mess.
This is also after Ollie was battling Yuki, and Ollie had to go off into the dirt and spun.
That's the one.
That's the one. Okay, it was with you.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, Ollie was just fighting for his life out there.
You know what? As he should. At this point, with just a few races left, I feel like, especially the rookie, they need to just show what they can do and fight. Obviously, follow the rules. Don't be like some people. We didn't mention Lance at the end of the sprint race where he was just oh God, just gonna veer right into.
Why does he have a seat in 2026? What do we do? Nothing about Alpine says either one of those drivers should be there in 2026. That's the terrible part. You were talking about constructors, and it's the fact that Stroll locked up and ran straight into someone, and then he's like, "Oh, my bad." That's it. That's all he said.
Yeah, he just my bad. Oops, sorry. That's the thing. You know who needs reprimands? This man.
His dad's taking his phone away. His dad's taking the big yacht away. He's got to use the small yacht.
The other thing that made me laugh was during qualifying, Yuki Tsunoda basically was like, yeah, Liam Lawson's an asshole and he always does this shit. Because Lawson was going slow, which pissed off Yuki. And yeah, Yuki basically said, Liam Lawson's always doing something on purpose. I don't know why. It's annoying. I don't care about him, to be honest.
Which is crazy, because Liam has been not bad these last couple of races.
True.
So,
should we talk about baby bulls for a second? Like, I know we briefly mentioned Isaac, like, has dropped off a little bit, but he's still showed potential, and like Liam Lawson has also not been terrible. So like they're still there. It's just one of those times where they're like, now they're so inconsistent, especially the last few times, that you have no idea if they're going to have a really good weekend or a really bad weekend. And it feels like there's no in between.
That's very fair.
I mean, they are young drivers, so it's not surprising. Like, if you think about it, there hasn't been any consistency for any of the rookies and Liam Lawson. It's like they each had their highs and lows. So that's not surprising that they're going through this inconsistent pattern. I think it hurts when you have two teams with their young drivers, which makes it even more interesting. And obviously, they're all fighting for a seat because none of them have a confirmed seat for next year. Hajar likely has one. It's just a matter of, will it be the second Red Bull seat or if it's just going to be Racing Bulls again? Lawson's pretty much fighting for his F1 career because you also have Lindbald chilling in F2. And I think before Horner got yeeted out, he probably would have taken one of those seats. Now, who knows? I feel like Laurent Mekies is a lot more even-keeled and smart and not a pile of shit human. So I think there is that aspect of as well. As like they're also trying to fight for seats next year that haven't been guaranteed. And Yuki is even in that same boat. It kind of feels as though we'll just see what happens. And you're going to take risk. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And I feel like the Racing Bulls car is also not come with the upgrades or has improved throughout the season as one would expect.
Well, can I ask then, since you brought up, like, even the commentators were saying, like, Isaac is going to be the second Red Bull, or get the second Red Bull seat next season. If he does, where does Yuki go if he even keeps a seat? Do you think he goes back to Racing Bulls?
I think he really only has two choices. And that's the Racing Bull, or he finally kicks someone out of Aston Martin.
Oh.
I was going to say, he's probably going to be, if he doesn't keep his Red Bull seat, I see him more being a reserve driver somewhere. Where, I don't know.
He hasn't done well enough to even be a reserve. So if no one sees the value, like, it's really terrible to say, but if no one sees the value of having him as a second driver, then I don't think he races again.
Here's the thing. Alpine will gladly have him as a reserve driver because Alpine will keep anyone as a reserve as long as you have a palsy of a chance.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, now
I don't know if Haas would do it.
Like, you know what? Cadillac doesn't have a backup driver yet.
Who?
I just don't see him as a reserve. That's my only thing. But if
I just think if Yuki wants to stay in F1, and he doesn't get that second Red Bull seat, he's going to have to be a reserve.
He's going to have.
He's definitely not keeping that Red Bull seat, so he's got to go back to Baby Bulls, or like I said, hopefully Aston Martin finally gets their head out of their ass, or
like Audi. I don't know. We don't know about like Sauber if they're going to keep Hulk and Bortoletto.
I forgot about Sauber.
So
anyway, I think he would. Maybe Audi.
You know what? Audi would be a very good shout, especially just their market. So,
yeah,
that's true. Well, we know it's not going to be Cadillac because their reserve driver, Colton Herta, is going to F2, which is a big deal. I feel like that's huge.
I think it is huge, especially because like he's not the youngest driver, so giving him that chance to go into F2 is good for them and good for him, obviously. But yeah,
Oh,
he's
they
like,
do have a reserve. I didn't know that.
I
Okay.
see. He's the well, I don't know. He's test driver. Is that the same as reserve driver?
I
Or is it
figured it was
different?
the same.
Okay.
Okay.
Either way, he's like with Cadillac, and now they're like he's going to be in part of F2, which is going to give him a lot more of that racing experience, which is good.
Yeah, and I feel like after his long battle to try and get into F1 between the super license and that basically stopping him from getting it earlier, I think this is good for him to potentially show like, hey, I can compete and I could get to that F1 level. He is definitely older, so it'll be interesting to see if that will change, but I don't know. I'm very curious to see how it goes because he might not even be the best American that's driving over there because Jack Crawford right now over in F2 has been up there in terms of the F2 championship. So we'll see. But good for Colton Herta, I guess is what I am trying to say.
Before we move on to accountability corner, I just have one more thing that I want to discuss, and I don't have an answer to why, and I don't know if you guys do too. But what was up with Oscar this weekend, and why couldn't he do anything? Like he was not gelling with the car at all. Like in qualifying, he was just barely making it past like Q1 and Q2, and then obviously he like managed to maintain position or like gain even one position, I think, and finish P5, but still like he was struggling all weekend.
Is it fatigue? Fatigue of the same thing over and over from Papaya? Is it just like, is he saying to himself, there's no way I'm winning this championship because they've just screwed me over endlessly?
Yeah,
So
I
that's what I'm saying.
mean,
Is it mental? Like obviously now that seeing that both Lando and Max are within reach of getting this like championship over him, that pressure is even more there. And so, yeah, is it all mental or was it actually like something with the car? Didn't seem like it. I don't know.
I would say both just because I feel like, and I put it in the preview as one of the things, like McLaren's car has not been dominant. It has not done well. And even Lando said after qualifying, like there's no chance he was going to get pole. So I think part of it is the car itself because it feels as though the car has not performed as well as we expected. Like this was a car that was winning races by 20, 30, 40 seconds. And now it's struggling to even keep up with Ferraris, like George Russell and Mercedes and Max and a Red Bull. And part of it is like Mercedes and Red Bull definitely have a car suited for one driver and they're getting the most out of it. But again, they were like Lando was struggling to get past Leclerc for half the race. And Oscar was having to hold off George for a good chunk of it. So I think part of it is the car, but I wouldn't be surprised the other part was mental. Like
Yeah.
you have the crash in Baku, and then you come back the next week. You have Singapore where you get hit by Lando, and then that pretty much screws you out of the race. And then you get into this weekend, you hit your teammate and crash out on the sprint race. And yeah, maybe there is that sinking realization that like maybe I'm not going to be able to do this, or I'm not being put in a position where I can succeed.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like next week will kind of give the definite answer because that McLaren car gets back to normal and Oscar's still struggling, then it's definitely mental.
Fair. Yeah. And I think all of this kind of started post summer break as well. So it's like they don't have a lot of time to get back. There's like Mexico next week, and then there's a couple week break, but it's not long enough to like kind of snap out of it, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like since like because it was what they had, like the Netherlands, it felt like okay, Oscar's fine. He's gonna run away with this championship after Lando DNF'd, and then Italy wasn't terrible, but it was like Italy was okay. That was the weird papaya rule thing, but then yeah, Baku happened. He didn't do well in Singapore, didn't do well in Baku or the US. So we have Mexico, then it's like a break, then it's like a week break, and then you get to Brazil, then it's a couple weeks, then it's Vegas. And then I think it's like a triple header basically or no, there's like a week.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's a triple
The
header
last
at
three
the
are
end
triple
between
header,
Vegas,
yeah.
Qatar, and Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
So We'll see. I'm not gonna lie. I wanted the triple header to be the U.S., Mexico, and Brazil, and I feel like the game's gone. The game might be gone, but we will take one last break, and when we get back, I will face the music, and we will all head into accountability corner. All right, now we gotta revisit some of these predictions. Most of us did not do well. I'll just say that. I will start. I had Lando winning, Oscar second, Max third. I did say Max would win the sprint race, so I give myself like half a point for that. But it was still not that impressive. Donald had Max winning, so kudos to him for that. Oscar second, Lewis third. Not terrible, but he also had Oscar winning the sprint race.
Close.
He got the winner.
He got a Ferrari.
Yeah, he got a Ferrari driver, and he got the winner. He was completely wrong in the sprint race. Andre had Oscar winning, Max second, Lando third. 2 out of 3 of the podium isn't bad. But he also said Lando was winning the sprint race, so completely wrong there. And then Megan had Max winning, Oscar second, Charles third, and Max winning the sprint. So she did the best.
You're the closest, yeah.
She nearly crushed it.
Megan, I need the lotto numbers.
Just had the wrong McLaren driver. So good job, Meg. Proud of you.
You know
I
what?
hope you're feeling better.
She was good to the Dutch. She said Max would win both, and yet they still stole her voice today. What a shame.
Damn.
Look, it just because she did one good thing doesn't mean the Dutch are going to forget the other parts.
Fair.
Like, let's be real. And then we got to the constructor scrap. For those that don't know, it's the most and least points. You can't choose McLaren for most points, and you can't choose Alpine for least points. The team with the actual most points was Red Bull. They had 31 from the race, and they got 10 from the sprint. And for the actual least, it was Racing Bulls and Williams. So,
to be fair, when he says least, the least amount of points scored, not anyone that didn't, like any team that didn't finish with 0.
As a team.
Yeah.
As a team. Both of them had 0. I had Mercedes as the most. Kimi Antonelli did not pull his weight there, so I was wrong there. But I said RB would get the least, so I got that. Kudos to me. Donald had Ferrari getting most. Not a bad answer. Good for him. But he also had Sauber for the least and Nico Hulkenberg quietly getting points. So he was off on that. Andre had Red Bull for most, so he was correct on that. While for least, he had Haas. Andre, I thought that was your team. What's going on? And Ollie Behrman proved you wrong. I don't know if Megan intentionally. She put Racing Bulls as for. I don't know if that's supposed to be Racing Bulls or Red Bull.
Must be Red Bull. If she had Max.
I don't know. She put RB.
Yeah.
It's gotta be Red Bull.
We'll give her the
I don't know. She put RB. I'm taking it as Racing Bull, so that doesn't count.
Okay.
Hey, she needs to be on to defend herself, okay? Because I got slammed for putting Hulk or whatever. Like one time I put Hulk or Sauber as, for something. I got slammed for not being there. She had to do better. And for least, she said Aston Martin Music Baby. Not terrible, but Fernando Alonso chipped away a point.
Yeah. I unfortunately did not make any predictions. But you know what? I would have said Red Bull most and Racing Bulls least.
Sure.
Okay. The highs and lows of hating Red Bull. Okay.
So we're gonna do Zoomy and Gloomy boys. So for those that didn't know, we made the change, so we don't predict the Zoomy and Gloomy boy. We just have that saved for the end of the review. So Ebony, I will let you go first in terms of who your Zoomy boy was and your Gloomy boy.
I hate that Papaya is making me say Max is my Zoomy boy. I have to fight Zach Brown now. Like there's no other option. He damn good weekend. Just
he crushed it.
Right. Yeah. Like there's no other way to put that. He had a damn good weekend. And then Hajar, he's just been on a very slow decline, and it's a little sad. He did not have a good race this weekend. You could have also, well, I don't know who you guys are picking, but you could have also said that Ollie didn't have a good weekend either. But yeah,
Hey, Ollie got points, so he did good
Ollie
enough.
got points, but at what cost? Now he's lost his bromance. So that's a horrible weekend if you think about it.
What's the bros over? I don't know what
Point?
rhymes.
I don't know.
Bros over bros.
I don't know. I feel like they'll be fine.
Corners, I guess. I don't know.
All right, Deepti, I'll let you go. Who's your Zoomy and Gloomy boy?
Zoomy, I'm gonna go with Hulk. He qualified really well in both the sprint and the main race. The sprint race was not friendly to him because of the incident that we talked about, how he and Oscar collided. However, he did get a point or a couple points in the main race on Sunday, and so he quietly had a pretty good weekend as well. I'm more impressed with the way he qualified, honestly, because that is purely just like speed and skill. So he's my Zoomy boy, and then my Gloomy. I don't actually really know who to. I guess I'll say Oscar, just because like it's just been a culmination of everything going poorly over the last few weeks, and like yeah, that was just all around weekend to forget, basically. Even though he did like he still was P5, which is still like good, but for his standards, not so much.
Yeah, I do have to agree with that. Like, it was not a good time for Oscar, and hopefully he turns it around.
Yeah.
For me, I'm gonna say my Zoomy boy. I'm saying Charles Leclerc. Like, that man was fighting and holding off Lando for the longest time. Like, he was defending. Like, that man was defending for his life. Almost at one point was defending too hard against Lewis, and I was like, okay, buddy, you gotta chill. Like, you gotta relax. That is your teammate. But I gotta give props to him. Like, he was doing that on like 20 lap soft tires, and he was defending Lando like it was nothing. And again, were it not for McLaren just having a better car and the mediums just wearing off as quickly as it did for Leclerc, I want to give him props. And he still finished on the podium, so can't be too upset about that. For Gloomy Boy, I'm saying Pierre Gasly, because you know how bad it's got to be for when your teammate says, I'm not going to follow team orders and defend for you, and then he passes you, and then shortly after, Bortoleto passes you, and you're pretty much last out of all the cars that were still on the grid. It's not looking good. Hey, he's got job security though. He signed that contract. Maybe that's why he signed it. He knew,
which is wild. He signed it. I will never get over him signing that contract. Never.
He knew. He was like, I'm not doing so hot. I better lock it job security.
Lock it in now.
You didn't need to lock it in. Okay, never mind. We're not doing this right now. We've got limited time.
Look, that man got burned by Red Bull before. He's like, I'm not letting that happen to me again.
I mean, you know what? In this economy, I get it.
Fine.
Either way, that will be it. We're going to have a preview episode later this week as we have Mexico coming up. It would be pretty cool to see Checo make his return. I'm sure he'll make an appearance in some way, shape, or form, both with him coming next year with Cadillac, but also he's just beloved. Pato O'Ward also will probably get a nice homecoming reception, as he's going to be the test driver for McLaren if free practice 1. So make sure to look forward to that. Otherwise, for Deepti, for Ebony, this is Kyle. Vroom, vroom.
Vroom, vroom.